There's been plenty of coverage of the thousands of casualties inflicted by Israel along its border with Gaza. But what's been the role of Hamas in the bloodshed? The organization that runs Gaza and is labeled a terrorist group by Western countries. My guest this week here in Beirut is Osama Hamdan, a senior member of Hamas's ruling Politburo. Did the movement deliberately provoke Israel with no thought at all for the safety of its citizens? Osama Hamdan, welcome to Conflict Zone.
Thank you.
More than 100 people dead, thousands injured on the Israeli border with Gaza. Is this what you wanted?
Of course not.
You knew this would happen, and yet you encouraged people to go there.
Well, it was not expected to be like this. We are talking about more than 440 people were killed, more than 7,000 people were injured. It was a civilian protest. It was unarmed protest. The people who were killed, women, children, old people, all what they wanted is to go home back. They want to return to their homeland.
But you deliberately encouraged people to put themselves in harm's way. On April the 6th, your leader in the Gaza Strip, Yahya al-Sinwar, made it quite clear that Hamas had violent intentions. He told people, we will uproot the borders, we will pluck out their hearts, and we will pray in Jerusalem. Is that a peaceful message? Pluck out their hearts?
For the Palestinians, it's completely a peaceful message to go to pray in Al-Aqsa Mosque, to take back their occupied lands, to liberate them.
We will uproot the borders and we will pluck out their hearts. That's peaceful, is it?
No, he didn't say that.
Peaceful. He did.
He said that as occupiers. He is talking about the army. He's talking about the army who's killing the Palestinians every day.
He's talking about plucking out Israeli hearts.
No, he's talking about the army who is killing the Palestinians every day. He's talking about the army who killed just in the last 8 weeks more than 140 Palestinians, injured more than 7,000 Palestinians. He killed the medical teams. He killed everyone.
Mr. Hamdan, this was a message of violence. It wasn't whipping up violence.
Totally, it wasn't a message of violence. It was a clear message from the Palestinian nation that we want our rights back. What is Donald Trump doing is not helping. He is destroying the future of the Palestinians.
You wanted bloodshed at the border, didn't you?
And he is not helping the Israelis either. And we don't like any kind of blood in the scene.
If you don't want
our
blood,
people to go home back.
If you don't want blood,
yes.
What were your militants doing? 50 of them that
they
you
were
said
not,
were
no,
killed.
No, you have to differentiate between two things.
Salah al-Bardawil.
Yes, I want to tell you
official.
about. He said that
50 militants had been killed.
He didn't say militants. He said 50 members of Hamas. And you know that Hamas is a big movement. There is a militant wing in Hamas, but the people who were marching, they were civilians, they were students, they were teachers, they were...
Yes, and you used them as cover.
Excuse me.
You used them as cover.
No, at all not. The 50 Palestinians who were killed from Hamas, they were not militant, and the Israelis knows that. Razan al-Najjar was not a militant. She was a nurse, and she was helping the injured people when she was shot in the back. The children who were killed, they were our children. We are not using the people. We are asking for the rights of the Palestinians.
That's not what the UN said. The UN had no doubt that that's what you were doing. The special coordinator for the Middle East peace process warned you in no uncertain terms not to use the protests as a cover to attempt to place bombs at the fence and create provocations. Hamas operatives, he said, must not hide among the demonstrators.
Which did not happen. No one put bombs, no militants hide among the people, or the killed people were civilians. I dare anyone to say that there was one militant through the people. They were all civilians. They were from Hamas, Fatah, Popular Front, Islamic Al-Jihad, normal people who supports the people who are working for the benefit.
That wasn't the Egyptian view,
This
was
is
it?
why
That wasn't the Egyptian view.
No, it was also the Egyptian view.
No, it wasn't, because Israel says Egypt has evidence that you funded clashes along the border, and the Egyptians warned you that if the violence went on, they would not help you any further.
I will not accept the Israeli story about what the Egyptians have said, because we talk directly to the Egyptians.
The Egyptians didn't deny the story, did they?
No,
they didn't deny it.
The Egyptians are talking directly to us. They are not in the position
and they're
that
talking
they
to
have.
the Israelis as well.
Yes, so they
directly to the Israelis.
Exactly, for both sides. So we don't need to hear from the Israelis about the Egyptians. We are hearing directly from the Egyptians. They have their own people inside Gaza, and they understand that it was a peaceful civilian march. It was not militant. They've said this clearly. You don't have to give the Israelis any reasons to kill your people. That was their advice, and it was a true advice.
The
Israelis are lying.
The evidence, Mr. Hamdan,
they did not give any evidence.
The evidence, Mr. Hamdan, is that this was not peaceful. On April the 27th, the New York Times reported an incursion involving dozens of people who made it through a barbed wire barrier, some of them throwing firebombs, other rolling, burning tires, people armed with pistols. Another of your leaders, Mahmoud al-Zahar, you know him well. He even boasted in a television interview that the demonstrations had been bolstered by Hamas weapons.
No, he didn't say that.
He did.
Using the tires, burning the tires in order to protect the civilians from the bullets of the Israeli snipers. By burning those tires, you don't allow the Israeli snipers to shoot your people. So it wasn't a militant action. It was a protection action for the Palestinian civilians.
You deliberately urged
and for your
Mr.
future
Hamdan,
and the future for your people.
Your representative,
So
Ismail Radwan, your representative, Ismail Radwan, said on April the 27th to the people, encouraging them to put themselves in harm's way, when we are brave, we are getting close to martyrdom, martyrdom, martyrdom. You wanted them to go and be killed and, in your view, become martyrs.
No.
This was a direct encouragement to go and get themselves killed.
No, he was saying that while he was there. He wasn't saying that while he was sitting in his home or house. Or office. He was saying there.
Doesn't matter where he was when he said it.
No, it's important. He's a leader, and he was with his own people. That means he's working for the benefit of the Palestinians. It's an occupation. This is the point. Don't talk about the Palestinians. Talk about the occupation. The Israelis are occupying our lands. They are killing our people. United States is providing them with weapons. No one is helping the Palestinians. At the end of the day, Donald Trump is telling the Palestinians, you don't have a capital, excuse me. Jerusalem is not yours. It's not for the Christians even. It's for the Israelis. You don't have an option of a Palestinian state.
He didn't say that, by the way.
No, he said that. He said that.
He said that they are not precluding any other arrangement for Jerusalem.
No, he said Jerusalem.
Or the boundaries of Jerusalem.
Excuse me.
He hasn't said that.
No, he said Jerusalem is the capital of the Jewish people. He didn't say Jerusalem is a Palestinian
He said
city.
he's not talking about what the future boundaries of Jerusalem would be.
He did a big mistake by saying it's a capital for a Jewish people. This is wrong. There was nothing like that in the history. It was built by the Arabs. The Canaanists, they built the city. And the Canaanists, they provide peace for everyone who lived in the city.
Mr. Hamdan, no.
I want to go to the second point.
I've given you a chance.
We are under the occupation as Palestinians.
You've said this,
and we have to resist.
I take your point.
Our duty is to resist the occupation.
You said that.
That means we need the support of the international community.
Okay, but you don't have it. You don't have
not the condemnation of some people.
We
have that last night in the UN.
You expressed no regret for the loss of life.
No.
On the contrary, you welcomed it because you think these people became martyrs and you're happy that they did.
Do you
All
think
the casualties along the
border.
border.
Do you think that we are happy of losing our boys, children, girls, daughters, wives?
I wonder.
We are not happy with this. But the Israelis who are responsible for that, last night, in the General Assembly of the UN, all the people voted for the Palestinian benefit. 120 countries voted for the support of the Palestinians, not the US.
You even turned down, you refused to accept a medical shipment from the Israeli military, despite a severe shortage of medicines in the hospitals in Gaza. And your Hamas spokesman, Hazem Qassem, said the occupation is trying to show that it has a human face, which is wrong. These trucks carrying these medical supplies are covered with Palestinian blood. You didn't even want vital medicines to help save the lives of your injured people.
We have the medicine.
Down.
No,
May
we have
17th,
the medicine.
you turned it down.
We have the medicine from Egypt. We have the medicine from Arab countries like Morocco.
You didn't have enough.
We have the medicine, but we can't accept someone to shoot us in our heads and our chests and then claim that he is trying to provide us with medical support. This is...
Which he was.
No.
He was trying to provide you. Israel was trying to provide you medical support.
Hypocrisy. This is hypocrisy. They are hypocritical.
It's the means to save lives, and you weren't interested.
No, they did not want to save lives.
What did you offer people? $200 vouchers for people who were injured. That's all you had to offer. $200 vouchers.
It's not a matter of money. If he wants to save life, he has to withdraw from the occupied lands. If he wants to save life, he has not to issue orders to shoot the civilians. This is how you save lives, not by killing them and then claim that you want to send someone to open graves for the killed people or to put some medicine on the wounds which you have done.
Mr. Hamdan, the net result of your actions and your protest demonstrations, piles of dead bodies, young people who have terrible injuries, suffering terrible pain, disfigured and disabled for life. If you had hoped that the violence on the border would get you good headlines and Israel bad headlines, you failed, didn't you?
No, we didn't.
You failed.
I will remind you.
You failed.
The first intifada, it was the same scene. The first intifada forced the Israelis to sit on the table and negotiate. The second intifada forced the Israel to accept the withdrawal from Gaza. I remind you of that. The people, they received the message from the Israelis. Nothing is easy. You have to resist.
In the last 10 years, you have got them nothing. 10 years of Hamas rule in Gaza, you have achieved nothing for them. Nothing for your people.
This is the outcome from the Israeli behavior against the Palestinians. You have to resist. Without resistance, you can't have anything. If you are in the jail, if you are in the city, if you are studying in the school or the university, you have to resist the Israelis in order to have your rights.
These are just slogans, Mr.
No,
Hamdan.
it's not slogans.
It's like
slogans.
Yahya Senwar said
last
month, Yahya Senwar, your man in the Gaza Strip,
Hamas leader in Gaza.
He said last month he's not looking for a confrontation with Israel, but at the same time he tells journalists, if there is one, Hamas will crush Israel. Come on. Be honest. There's no way Hamas can crush Israel. Why don't you tell the truth instead of just giving people meaningless slogans? Why don't you tell them the truth?
It's not a slogan. He didn't say that.
He did say it.
No, this is a translation
problem. It was the foreign journalists. He said Hamas will crush Israel.
He didn't say that. I know what he said. He said we don't want to fight, but if they forced us to fight, we will do what we have to do. He said that. If someone attacks you, you will protect yourself, you will defend yourself, even though you believe that he is more stronger than you. We can't surrender. We will not surrender. The Palestinian people will not surrender. Not only Hamas, all the Palestinians.
Your policy is bankrupting Gaza. Your economy is shut to hell. You have unemployment, which is 43%.
Who is responsible for that?
You, in part you.
The occupation. The occupation is responsible for that.
Poverty has gone up from 38% in 2011 to 53% by the end of last year.
The situation
under your rule.
The situation in West Bank, the situation in Jerusalem is not better than this. The main problem is the occupation. Don't try to say that there is other problem. The main problem, occupation. Let the occupation leave, and you will see how the Palestinian people will live.
It's all very well to blame other people, but
no, we are not blaming.
But your policy has led to this poverty, led to this unemployment.
No.
All you have to do is put down your arms.
What we are supposed to do.
And you would get investment.
No,
put down
that's
your
not
arms,
true.
You would get investment. You've been promised investment.
No, we will not.
The UN, the Americans have told you funding is available for projects.
They did not tell us anything about
Gaza will collapse. You're on the point of collapse.
Gaza will not collapse. The Israelis are destroying the Palestinians' life every day, not only in Gaza, in West Bank and in Jerusalem. So don't say that the Palestinians are the blame. The blame are the Israelis who are the side you have to blame. They are the occupation. the international community considered them as an occupation. Ask the international community and the Israelis why they are not withdrawing from the occupied lands.
You refuse to put the health and welfare of your people ahead of a so-called resistance strategy that has brought your people nothing. The UN says to you the key to unlocking the economic projects that could make a difference to your people is that the 2014 ceasefire is observed and that all factions in Gaza refrain from illicit arms buildup and violence on the ground. But you won't do that, will you?
Well,
you won't do that.
No,
you won't do that.
We kept that better than the Israelis. The one who attacks, the one who is shooting, the one who is killing, the one who is putting Gaza under siege is the Israelis. So we told the UN that we are ready to deal with that. But till now, there is no answer from the Israelis.
And is it not only do you not get on with the Israelis, you can't get on with the Palestinians in the West Bank either.
No.
And all your attempts to unify have failed, haven't they? Year after year
Unfortunately
after year.
for this, but we will continue.
What do you mean unfortunately? It's a big deal.
We are, unfortunately, that we failed, but we are working and we will continue our work to unify the Palestinians.
You failed because you can't put aside your narrow factional interests for the good of the Palestinian
That's not
people
true.
as a whole.
A few days ago,
You
there
know
was
that.
a protest in West Bank. The one who prevented the people to protest against the occupation was Mahmoud Abbas. It wasn't Hamas. The people who moved, they were not Hamas members. They were from Popular Front and some other left-wing organizations and NGOs. He prevented them. Yesterday, his police attacks them, like the Israelis have done.
And what happens when the Palestinian Prime Minister goes to Gaza?
Well, exactly.
He gets assassinated. There's an assassination attempt.
No,
There's an assassination attempt.
This is a good question. Our investigations clarified that the one who was in charge for this assassination trial was an official officer in the Palestinian
Fatah doesn't believe you.
No.
They don't believe you.
Okay, we have evidences. We show the people, the Egyptians were following up the investigation, and they were totally shocked by what has been done.
It happened on your watch in your territory.
No, excuse me.
So it's either your negligence or you did it.
No. We know the names of the officials who did that. We gave those names to Mahmoud Abbas, and he's supposed to make an action because this was the prime minister, but he did not make any action.
The Palestinian Authority says the more Hamas tries to evade responsibility, the deeper it sinks. That's their verdict on your explanation.
He can say
for
that
this.
as if he was in a good thing. He's in the worst situation. He can't move without an Israeli excuse. So I will not take Adnan al-Damiri says, because everyone make jokes when they say when they hear and listen to Adnan al-Damiri. Adnan al-Damiri doesn't know anything. The one who knows that, the one who knows the fact is Majid Faraj. Majid Faraj, just a moment after the explosion, he said,
all right, that's your version.
He said,
that's
no,
your
version.
version.
Not my version. He said clearly in front of all the journalists, it was 2 bombs. We checked the place. It was 2 bombs, but one exploded, the other did not.
The Palestinian Authority
he knows it was 2 bombs.
Doesn't believe you. Let's talk, Mr. Hamdan, let's talk about human rights, because you've been widely criticized for many years by international groups, as well as those based in the Palestinian territories. And this isn't something to do with the Israelis. This is your behavior. Okay. Between January the 1st and 31st of October last year, the Independent Commission for Human Rights in Palestine received 193 complaints of torture and ill treatment by your security forces. Why do you go on doing this? Why do you go on mistreating your people? You claim to worry about their health and their security, but you torture them at home. Why?
No, we did not do that. The situation is clear in Gaza. He came at each time and he investigated and he asked, and the people answered him and the police answered him, and most of those claims were not true. Most of those claims they weren't true. Those claims were
they're well documented, as you know. Particularly your attacks on journalists. Let's go through some examples, because you love to deny these things. But as I say, they're well documented.
And I will answer you. Give me facts.
On January the 12th last year, police in Gaza attacked a photographer working for Agence France Presse. His name Mohamed Abdurazik Al-Baba, 47 years old. He was beaten up while covering a demonstration at the Jabalia refugee camp. He was hit with a stick over his eye. He needed hospital treatment. An Interior Ministry official later apologized. Why did that happen?
Exactly.
Why was he beaten up?
And
Why was he beaten up?
those police who did that, they were punished. And they
Oh,
were
really?
taken,
How much punishment did they get?
They were taken to the court and they were jailed because they have
For
done
how
this.
long? How long did they get? You don't know, do you?
No, I know exactly. They were
Really?
jailed for 1 year for what they have done
Really?
this. Yes.
Really?
So they were punished and there was a compensation for him from the ministry.
It didn't stop on January the 14th. The same thing happened again.
If some accidents took place here or there, that doesn't mean that we say nothing is happening.
It's not here or there. It's 193 cases of torture.
It's clear that our position, if something wrong was done, we say we are sorry, we punish the people who did that. And our people trusted that, so they talk. They don't keep silent. They talk because they trust that they will have their right back.
January 14th, police arrested a cameraman from the national video agency, Jivara. They were interrogated and they were beaten up. They were planning to cover a protest demonstration. They were only released after signing a pledge not to report on any events in Gaza against Hamas. This was clear intimidation,
Look,
clear threat.
You will talk about those
and
details.
Police beatings.
You will talk about those details. You have to talk with the spokesman of the Ministry of Interior.
I'm telling you what your own people do.
No, I'm telling you the general idea. We don't accept anything of that. We are punishing the people who are doing this because we don't accept that to happen. If someone did that, he will be punished today, yesterday, or tomorrow. This is a community with 2 million people. Accidents happened, and we solve the problems, and we punish the people who are making mistakes.
Just a month ago...
We don't agree of anything about this. We don't support this. We don't even say good words about this.
Just a month ago, the human rights group Al-Haq reported that your forces had arrested one of the program directors at the Nusayrat refugee camp, which is overseen by the UN. She is Sama Abu Gayat, arrested by your internal security on May the 9th without any warrant or without any charges in violation of her constitution.
She was not arrested.
And legal rights. She's been held. 15 days after she was detained, she still had not been able to see her husband.
Well,
her children.
I want to tell you the story. She was not arrested. They sent her from...
Or they just kept her for fun, did they?
They sent her a request from the DA office. She went by herself, and there she was told about the accusations against her, and she was held according to the law.
And she has not been allowed to have a lawyer. She has been prevented from seeing her lawyer.
There was a lawyer, and everything was done with her according to the law.
That's not what Al-Haq says.
Well, they said that this is part of the propaganda. We know
it's not propaganda, it's a human rights organization.
We know how they do this because they want to make pressure. This is their right. They can do that.
You deny all the independent reports. This is the way you do this.
No,
you
I'm not
deny.
denying.
I give you details, I give you facts.
Excuse me.
You just deny
They did not introduce the complete facts. She was asked by the DA office to come by herself. She came by herself. She was told that you are responsible for this and that, and we want, according to law, to hold you for 15 days. This is the Palestinian law. This is not Hamas law.
When is she going to be released?
This is the Palestinian law. And she will face the judge, and he will release her if she was innocent. And if there was charges, he will tell her the charges. Not Hamas, not the police, the DA office, and the judicial system.
Mr. Hamdan,
excuse me.
Mr. Hamdan, I just want a final point. You have a goal, an independent Palestinian state on the 67 borders with Jerusalem as your capital. I ask you if this is what your state would look like. Arbitrary arrests without due process, journalists shot in the leg for carrying out their legitimate work, threats and beatings from your security service. Is this what your state would look like? Is this what your state would look like?
What you are saying is not fair.
It's widely documented.
What you are saying is totally not fair. Everyone knows that we provide security in Gaza. Unlike the situation before 2006, everyone knows that. Everyone knows that the judicial system is working as the best way, better than in Ramallah or other places. Everyone knows that we are trying to protect our people. If we have an independent state, it will be a democratic state. There will be elections. It will be a state built as a new state on the best level
And you would
parameters.
stand aside if you lose the elections? You would stand aside?
Totally yes. Totally
Really?
yes. Yes.
Because you'd only get 30% of the vote if the Palestinians were together these days.
Okay. The last,
You'd only get 30%.
Even if we get 10%, we will accept that. When you decide to choose democracy, you have to respect the results. If you win or if you lose. This is our internal decision before participating in the elections 2005. We said we want to participate regardless to the results. This time or next time or the time after that. We will respect that. We are respecting that internally.
All right.
We are the movement which
I understand.
50% of its leadership was changed by democratic ways.
I got your point. Osama Hamdan, thanks very much for being on Conflict Zone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.